Donald Trump declared himself a law and order candidate, and that would almost be funny if he were not already under investigation for fraud. It's about like David Duke, the former head of the KKK, declaring he's the African-American candidate. We have to wonder how Donald Trump is going to give us law and order and how he is going to do it quickly. After all he says, it's going to happen fast. We have to ask how Donald Trump will be able to do anything about law and order given that our troubled cities don't really fall under federal jurisdiction. It seems as though the problems we are having are local problems that the cities themselves need to deal with, or at best it is a state issue. For Trump to deal with the issue at a federal level he would need to put an armed National Guard on every street corner. Certainly that would solve the problem for the short term, but for the long term it is an unacceptable solution that would only create greater animosity within low-income communities. Nor do we think that would be a solution acceptable nationally either. As we expand outward, Donald Trump's plan to keep us safe internationally is just as flawed. He has no real plan to deal with ISIS except maybe to bomb them more. To be truthful, the way President Obama is dealing with ISIS is only a very small part of the solution. Just bombing ISIS, in the end, will only scatter them around the world. What really needs to happen is that we need to find an Islamic solution to an Islamic problem. There is a solution, but we need to get away from the Islamophobia that is being spread by the Republican Party, Donald Trump, and a very biased news media that is sensationalizing and perpetuating the problem. Nearly every Islamic imam and cleric on the planet, Shiite or Sunni, has denounced ISIS as being un-Islamic and basically little more than just a group of thugs. And, they have all condemned the many attacks carried out around the world by ISIS as well. Yet, rarely are these condemnations carried by the news media, and if they are stuck in the paper somewhere around the back by the obituaries, or maybe a 5-second soundbite on the TV news. It is the sensationalism of the news media that the youth in Islam are seeing. Also, they are seeing and feeling the effects of the perpetuation of Islamophobia by those same media groups. If we were truly interested in stopping the radicalization of the youth in Islam, then this paradigm needs to change. The only way that we can possibly truly defeat ISIS is to strip away the mask of Islam that they are hiding behind. Every time we associate ISIS with Islam we're giving legitimacy to ISIS and their propaganda. This is why President Obama does not refer to ISIS as radical Islam. This is what Donald Trump doesn't get, and he will never get it. Trump does not understand Islam, and we doubt that he has even read the Quran. The way to defeat ISIS is to turn their own propaganda against them, and we cannot do this as long as Donald Trump remains the recruiting poster child for ISIS. And, as long as the youth and many others in Islam believe that the Western Crusaders, i.e. America, is out to destroy Islam, it will be hard, if not impossible, to completely destroy ISIS and their ideology from the face of the planet. If the flames of intolerance and bigotry were fanned just a bit, and God forbid, Donald Trump gets elected president, it would not take much to escalate our conflict with ISIS into a global war with Islam. Then things in this country would get ugly very quickly and we could be looking at the institution of martial law throughout the country. Add to that Trump's protectionist, isolationist rhetoric with a bit of a push from Russia and China to whom Trump owes money, and this country could be turned into pure chaos from the inside out. But, if we could stifle the Islamophobia agenda of the Republicans, and starve their constant appetite for war, and step away from their racist bigoted attitude, we might actually be able to turn this country around. Part of that would require that the free press become a free press again, untainted by political agenda and ideology. We would need to stop the sensationalism of mass shooters, whether they are psychotics or zealots, and project a more positive image that focuses more on the victims and messages of peace than those of hatred and intolerance. The news media is probably one of the most culpable elements in what drives mass shooters today, whether they are psychotics or zealots. It is a practice they need to stop. If it wasn't for the media pushing Bush's agenda for finding weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, we might not have ever gone to war, and the mess in the Middle East might not have ever happened. If investigative journalism had not gone the way of the dinosaurs, the news media might have discovered on their own there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. But, the news media has sold out to political and governmental influence. They have become little better than reality TV, choosing to sensationalize hate, violence, and intolerance over love, peace, and acceptance, which is boring and does not sell copy very well or get good ratings. Donald Trump is not a law and order candidate. He is a scoundrel of the highest order. As what few investigative journalists that are left dig deeper into his life, they are finding more and more about what he is hiding from the American people beyond that which he disclosed at the beginning of his presidential campaign. $650 million in debt, or more, much of that to the Russians and Chinese, ties to more than 500 corporations, and counting, which all stand to benefit from his proposed tax cuts on corporations. Then there is a very fishy tax break on $30 million in back taxes owed to the state of New Jersey after his buddy Chris Christie got elected to governor, and let us not forget the states that are investigating Donald Trump for fraud, where he ruined the lives of a lot of good hard-working average Americans, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. Donald Trump will do anything, say anything, and promise anything to get people to vote for him in the general election. But, Donald Trump as president will deliver nothing except more heartache for the American people. Our goal is to protect the American people, and to defend and preserve our rights, and to fight to regain that which has been lost to the people through time. We are the New American Revolution freedom fighters.